false flag, terror attacks, Bill Gates, Henry Kissinger, New World Order, mind control, Bank of America stealing homes with cut and paste mortgage loans, police, state, taser guns, FEMA camps, land to run, Monsanto rules the food supply while Big Pharma dopes your mind. Prison system, puppeteers, foundations, fund the beers, fund the evil through the years, the world's not as it appears. CIA smuggles drugs while Wachovia and Wells Fargo launder them, then give the proceeds to the owners of the Federal Reserve Bank. Now the IRS takes money out of every single check. Money they created out of thin air and leave you with debt. They want to make you a serf, a slave to their demand. They want to take your life in every way they can. Fluoride, GMO, vaccines, chemtrails, United Nations genocide. The world they show us is not real. This is how they kill and steal. Rothschild, Bundy, Rockefeller, Club of Rome. On the Georgia Guidestones it's written in stone. Cut through the matrix, awaken to the lies. Do not be hypnotized. We are one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sorry for any problems that we had there. I apologize. It looks like I got the audio going. I'm very new to this Procaster software, but I'm learning how to use it. And I know for a lot of people they say, "Oh, it's very simple, Howard," but you don't understand. I'm good at playing guitar. I can mix a record, but I got a little bit of an issue with some of these technical things, and I'm not an email person. I don't like this whole. I don't like the whole concept of having a phone that you can. First of all, they could track you on it and all this. I'm not really into this whole thing of cell phones in general. I think we've all detached as a society. And anyway, apologize for the mishap. But yes, there's a lot of stuff going on. And let's start with Syria. Well, before I start, I want to thank Jim Russell, who called me earlier today at work and reminded me that I missed Richard Gage's Architects and Engineers and 9/11 Truth presentation of his world premiere tour, 9/11, The Explosive Evidence, Experts Speak Out. This is what we do here, and I can't believe it. Now, fortunately, there is somebody that was there. If I, of course, would have attended, I would have had video. I would have had it all set up for the show. It would have been perfect. I just totally forgot about it due to, like, I don't know, a lot of stuff going on with everything in life, as you know, and it was Father's Day, and it was, anyway, whatever. No excuses. I wasn't there, but we were there. We Are Change Connecticut was there, and he was very happy to hear from us, and hopefully we can get Richard Gage on air soon to talk about 9/11 and to get other people to open their eyes to the reality that it was an inside job. I mean, it's not even like forget this theory thing. This is what I talked about. I mean, I have people from various parts of intelligence. I mean, on record, the government is implicit. I mean, Richard Clark said it. Plenty of people have said it that were involved in the actual day-on-day event. So it's a very important issue. And, of course, the 9/11 anniversary is again coming up in just a few months, and this year, for certain, I will be down there with Harry Link here on truthbroadcastnetwork.com. And I didn't even introduce the name of the show. It is, again, Howard Nema from We Are Change Connecticut, and it's truthbroadcastnetwork.com, and this is Truth Talk News. All right, moving forward, sorry for any delays that we had and a little faux pas, but let's hear Hillary Clinton chatting about the Syrian situation and see what she has to say about the whole deal going on here. Let's give her a listen. What'd she freeze on me? Oh, goodness gracious. She froze.
the
There she goes.
Qataris, the Emiratis, the Saudis, others are trying
More like the Illuminatis. But go on.
to figure out how to support.
I'm going to have so much fun, like, criticizing and breaking down these people as they speak. I think this will be like this will be my thing. Nobody really does this. I am going to just, like, totally launch into these people. It's so funny. I'm really having fun, actually, getting used to this software. It's unbelievable. So apologize for the faux pas. We're 16 minutes into the show, and we're going to be covering Syria tonight. We're going to be covering the obvious costs of the war and the hidden costs of the war, and various other things that we'll move on to the veterans who've fought in the war, and their children are now having a lot of neurological problems. We'll be covering that. And going over Obama on not deporting illegal aliens. Talk about a few other things and some new shows coming down the pike here for myself here with my good friend Chris Freedom Flowers, who will be coming back to the airwaves shortly. And I can't wait to have that. Interestingly enough, he's planning to do a show on government weapons used against we the people. And, of course, his show, the show that he's known for, which is Fight the New World Order. All right, let's hear what Hill has to say here, and I'll try not to interrupt too much.
People who are under the assault of the Syrian regime. And it's quite challenging to actually deliver on that. Now, there are lots of weapons on the black market. There's money that's available.
There's the CIA. Excuse me.
Seems to be an increasing capacity in the opposition, both to defend themselves and to take the fight to the Syrian military in an irregular way. But there's no doubt that the onslaught continues, the use of heavy artillery and the like. We have confronted
heavy artillery. Okay. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Heavy artillery. I mean, you know, basically, you're breaking down the fact that who sold these weapons to the Syrians? Think about it. Who is the manufacturer of these weapons? It's terrible what's going on here. And the Libyan, Syrian, same thing. It's unfortunately another people that are being assaulted by a very, very unbelievable situation where America has to become the policeman of the world. I mean, I'm sorry, it's terrible what's going on in Syria, but why don't we worry about our own country for a change? This whole Middle East is designed to, you know, they're trying to move in these banking cartels and take these riches of these countries, and they've been doing it over and over again, and they keep, what are you talking about? But it's happening. It's happened over again. Syria is left, and of course we know Pakistan's not a problem, but the real gem, you know, we have is now with Syria in this region, and of course the notorious Iran. So they have been trying to get these countries locked up for a very long time, and I'm going to show some very terrible footage that I have planning here about some of these things, but certainly the costs of this war are not just in lives and dollars, but it's in our freedom, because they're not really fighting for the freedom of the people. The military-industrial complex is consistently opposed to peace. So they will break up peace through this use of controlled opposition and paying the actual to actually create insurgents and to create discord and disorder, which is what they do. After all, they need the disorder to rise from the chaos. It's order out of chaos, ladies and gentlemen. And let's listen to some more chaos and Hillary Clinton describing how horrible it is to be in Syria.
The Russians about stopping their...
Oh, I forgot about the Russians. Yeah, of course, she's going to be speaking about the Russians now. Talking about the Russians and now that they're giving the the weapons to this dictator. I just have to start understanding here what's going on. So you want to now have a war with Russia, or get against Russia, or at least John McCain does. I think things are really out of control, and this is just another example of us flexing our muscle, our muscle at the expense of the American people and the taxpayers. Again, I mean, I'm sorry. There's terrible things in the world. Now, they create the terrible things in the world. Why do you think that we still have hunger and poverty and all of these problems in Africa, with all the money that they've raped and pillaged over the last 50 years with the United Nations? And this is what we're going to do. We're going to stop world hunger and world peace. And read the Rockefeller Foundation documents from 40 years ago, 1968. I had it on the other day. I could pull it up again. I love it. I mean, again, getting used to the software and utilizing it. I'm sorry for any hiccups, but this is really important stuff, and there's a lot of information that is just not being reported by the mainstream media. Now, this, of course, is her at the Brookings Institute. Now, I can go into the Brookings Institute over and over again. It's another Rockefeller associated group. It is a think tank, and it is highly, of course, included in the New World Order tactics of bringing in the world government, which is where we're leaning and where we're moving. All right, let's listen to Hillary, see what she has to say.
About stopping their continued arms shipments to Syria. They have, from time to time,
in Syria and around the world is starting to pour in against the Assad regime after what activists describe as one of the worst government attacks in Syria's 14-month-old uprising. They say more than 90 people are dead, including more than 30 children, in a shelling attack on villages about 25 miles northwest of Homs. Amateur videos posted online Saturday gave glimpses of the carnage, showing bodies wrapped in white sheets and lines of bodies under blankets in simple rooms. Anti-Assad activists say regime forces peppered the area with mortars after large anti-Assad demonstrations on Friday. They say pro-regime fighters stormed the villages, gunning people down.
Okay, so now what they do is they have the rebels, who are real, true leaders of freedom, and they want actually good things because they're against tyranny, and they fund these guys to get them in power and then control them. And in this case, it's openly right out in the open that they're going to give money to these rebel forces. They always give money to the rebel forces, which, for example, in Libya was Al-Qaeda. All right, everybody's got to break through the matrix and just understand that this is how it's working. This is how they're doing it. They're doing it very decisively, very cunningly, and very covertly. And it's done right in your face too. It's like if you understand what's happening, you can say, how can they get away with this? But it's so obvious. You can't. We did it with the Nicaraguans and the Contras, the whole thing with Nicaragua and the Contras, the whole thing with Noriega. All of this, don't you remember history? But somehow, that's good. We're helping freedom by fun. Come on. We're helping these criminals, the cartels that are running our government, to bring in this world government, to get the people all tuned into this, because they can't just say, we're going to have world government and everybody vote on it. They'll just move it in slowly and then bring various events to slowly bring about changes towards this. They've been doing it. That's why the intro you saw on the opening sequence is actually gone. I should put it on again, but I'll play the song on a break. But it has this whole point from Robert, oh my God, from the John Birch Society, Robert Welch, stating everything that's happened and what they're doing. And this is in 1958. Actually, the speech, I think, was in 62. But, I mean, that's the whole concept. They're bringing us into this world government by the United Nations and others, which the Bilderbergs, the Council on Foreign Relations, all these interests to control the world. Monsanto with the food supply, all the carbon taxes to pay through the the Rothschild Bank, all this insane stuff. While everybody's playing baseball, watching TV, and just, whatever. It's unreal. Now, there's some terrible things here, but let's continue with this report on Syria because this is where we're starting.
Stabbing them in their homes.
This is an incident, a tragedy where it's easy to say that whomever started, whomever contributed, whomever responded, the violence is unacceptable and it's unforgivable.
The U.S. government has condemned the attack. France is also expressing outrage. So are others overseas. The bloodshed has dealt a...
Here's Mr. McCain on one of his positions on Syria. This has been long-standing. Since March, they've been beating the war drums on this issue. From Positive Media Productions. A nice little piece here.
Let me tell you what's wrong with your statement. You don't mention American leadership. Americans should lead in this. America should be standing up. America should be building coalitions. We shouldn't have statements like, quote, that we are not going to intervene no matter what the situation is, such as been, at least up until now, the statements by the administration and the president. In past experiences, those...
Leon Panetta.
Yes, we has been multilateral and multinational. This is absolutely vital. We're not leading, Mr. Secretary. General Dempsey, again, I hear the same old refrain that I've heard for many, many years. Quote, it's not clear what constitutes the Syrian armed opposition. That was the same argument that the...
Okay, the same argument that there were weapons of mass destruction. You're saying that there aren't weapons of mass destruction, and we know that there are weapons of mass destruction. Come on. We have damning evidence that there are weapons of mass destruction. Of course there are. Listen, he's just about to lie right here, and you're about to catch it. Here we go.
Administration used for not intervening in Libya at the beginning, and by the way,
putting Al-Qaeda in place.
Libya at the beginning.
Listen to this bullshit.
Administration used for not intervening in Libya. That was the same argument that this administration used for not intervening in Libya at the beginning. And by the way, I might add that the Prime Minister and Deputy Prime Minister of Libya are former professors at the University of Alabama. Far better than being from...
Okay. There we go. Once again, putting this bullshit credentials thing, so you better listen to what this guy, who's at the foundation-funded schools, where they're telling you that the foundation-funded schools. This guy, you got to listen to him because he's been to these schools. He might have been to Yale, even Harvard. Forget about these other bullshit schools he's talking about anyway. But he's trying to utilize that whole concept of the education. He's an educated person through the university system. Oh my God, sickening and deplorable. Anyway, let's hear him lie a little more.
Lieberman's alma mater. But
Lieberman. Oh, he's talking about Lieberman's his good buddy Lieberman. Buddy Lieberman. Of course, it's Connecticut. He's got to be buddies for all these years because of the military-industrial complex pretty much runs a good portion of the political power in this state. I'll tell you that much.
Alma mater. But anyway, Lieberman's alma mater.
Say it again, you criminal.
He's
another war criminal.
At the University of
Not a war
Alabama.
hero.
Far better than being from Senator Lieberman's alma mater. But anyway, so we can find out who they are.
It's the same bullshit.
We can find out who they are. They're not fighting and dying because they're Al-Qaeda. They're not fighting and dying and sacrificing their lives because they're Muslim extremists. They're fighting and dying because they want the same universal rights and freedom that we guaranteed in our Constitution.
Okay, you mean the rights and freedom that we just keep taking away and that you should say always, always. Oh, my God. You know, we have to keep the people safe, and you're always for taking away personal liberty and personal freedom, Mr. McCain. And it's very funny. You and Lieberman both of you, you argue, you have all this bullshit between you, and then of course you hang out and probably attend personal gatherings together, and have a drink, drinks and dinner and all that other good stuff, and everybody's laughing while this circus that they call politics plays out with the lives that you're talking about, and it's just unbelievable. The war. It's just warmongering. We don't need any of this. This country is not the defender of the world. They want to make it this. The world order needs us to be. We are their arm. We're the muscle. And the only way that'll stop is if we stop it. So enough on Senator McCain. But we have all of these other obvious problems. For example, you have if you're looking at the toll on the military, what about here's an obvious cost of war: suicides versus military. Suicides versus military deaths. Yeah, good one. Have a pretty good one. All right. Yeah, U.S. troop suicide exceeds war death. I knew I'd find it right away. There you go. See, you can find most of this information, not too hard. And then don't just take one source. Check out other sources. This is RT, which is a good source, even though a lot of people criticize it.
And the war veteran profiled in that story is here to talk more about this. Anti-war activist Mathis Chereau joins us now. Welcome, Mathis. So we are seeing these skyrocketing suicide rates. This is the cover of the Express today. Another soldier, a victim of suicide. Why are we seeing these skyrocketing rates?
Well, you touched on it a little bit in your piece, Liz. The kinds of things that soldiers are up to around the world are really, in many cases, nearly impossible to come back from. The face of war has changed. The types of soldiers the U.S. produces have changed. We're not talking about the reluctant citizen soldier archetype of old. We're talking about a new kind of soldier that's coming back from combat. Overseas in wars that we can't honestly say have made us safer, and that many of us consider wars of aggression and criminal.
Look at the border on the bottom.
Perhaps one of
it's
the
unbelievable.
most alienating feelings in this country.
And you did experience it. I'm sorry to interrupt you. You did experience it firsthand. I want to ask you what it's like to go back to civilian society after being at war.
Well, it's not just being at war, but certainly being at war contributes quite a bit. I think the most difficult thing I've struggled with, and I didn't really spend that much time in combat, but you don't have to spend very long in these war zones at all to be deeply affected by them, for me, it's been the children. I remember seeing a lot of children in Iraq, excuse me, not in Iraq, I'm an Iraq war resistor. I refused orders to Iraq. But in Afghanistan, certainly, when I was riding around on those convoys, I can still remember the faces of the children who stared at me over my rifle. So kids have been difficult for me. Just understanding that I have been desensitized to a level of violence that most people are very uncomfortable with. And things that seem normal for me to even talk about in passing aren't normal for folks and tend to leave me alienated oftentimes, and it's a shame. Recently it was a just personal tragedy in a way it feels with some very dear friends of mine. I offended, not trying to be offensive or anything, but their kids found out I was in the military, and they asked me, what I thought about it. I said I didn't like the military because the military kills people. And to me, that thought is so normal. but that's not something that's normal to society, you know.
You know, something that is interesting about this study is that a lot of those that become victims of suicide, they don't even leave U.S. soil. So they weren't even immersed in combat, yet they still, something about being this military experience, they're struggling with it. Can you talk a little bit about that and why it affects people that don't even go into combat?
Well, the military, by its very design, is a traumatizing institution. Really, I think the best way to describe the approach is that, you know, the military seeks to make soldiers, at least like, you know, ground troops, well, I can really speak for the Army most specifically. The Army seeks to make the lives of its soldiers, even not in combat, miserable, to the point that being in combat wouldn't seem like that big of a deal. So you're talking about a system that traumatizes people, and we know that in the United States. In a way, it's glorified. We see it in movies. Everybody has an idea of what happens in basic training, I think. Even the kids I speak to in high school that are considering the service have an idea that the military traumatizes people. Now, they don't usually know about the specifics. They don't understand, you know, the specifics of the kind of, like, sexual trauma, for example, that they can experience in the military. They don't maybe know the specifics of post-traumatic stress disorder, but they know that the military is not a friendly environment, and unfriendly environments create very unfriendly people, and unfriendly people wind up alienated and alone. And that, to me, feeling alienated and alone have been the most dangerous states I've found myself in as a veteran.
And so today, Mathis, you are dedicated to showing the youth, today's youth, the other side of war, the other side of joining the military that perhaps military recruiters don't show. Why do you think it's important to get this message out?
Well, because the realities of these wars haven't sunk in here, and in fact, in many cases, the schools have been deficient in their duty to teach kids the realities of current events and the realities of American foreign policy. You know, like I said, I've recently read an article about an Iraqi child who, for the last 10 years, has lived with explosions so much that he reported he didn't even you know, get scared from explosions that much anymore. Yet children here have no idea that those are the kinds of realities being imposed by Americans on children in other countries. And so what they are seeing instead is propaganda written by the military, advertising products, trying to sell themselves to these kids because, you know, they consist of, to them, the next generation of warfighters. And literally the front lines are the high schools. Military recruiters prey off of children, prey off of their insecurities, perhaps their economic states, be they from poor families and things like that, and they try and sell a product which is essentially death, and has not just the potential to, you know, kill somebody who joins or lead them to kill somebody else, but the military permanently alters people who become a part of it and then try and leave it. You know, and they don't understand that.
Mathis,
and it's heartbreaking.
Thank you so much for sharing your story with us. That was war veteran and anti-war activist Mathis Shiro.
Wow. All I have to say about that is that kid said it just like it was true. I mean, again, incredible. I've seen him speak before. He had, when he first came back from the war, there's some famous YouTube videos of him on a rant about what they've done. And again, they don't want to mention this. Nobody would go to war. Come on, you couldn't get a good war off the ground, like Archie Bunker said, if people knew all this stuff. How do you get a war off the ground unless you have patriots willing to fight and die for their country and fight for liberty and be trained as a killer and be trained to be desensitized to being a human? That was just an absolutely incredible video, and I'm hoping that we have more of these moments. This is the kind of moments that I want to keep going here. And moving forward, we have about 15 minutes until Harry Link joins us on Death to the New World Order on truthbroadcastnetwork.com. I'm going to stick on this war subject because I did take a little time to do some research. Tomorrow, I certainly, in the future, I'll have the videos all lined up. I just didn't have the time. I mean, I don't know how else to put it. I'm just, I think sometimes I'm running on an extra cylinder that's from somewhere else. But I will have things a little more cohesive, and sorry for keep apologizing, but I'm trying to get this new software and everything else together is a little challenging. But it's interesting. You get to see the process evolve. For those who've been watching a long time, or some since the beginning. I get messages from people all the time. I'm sure you understand. New people, the information is what's important, not the production. Again, we've been programmed to feel that production quality and all this other stuff is that's the only thing that's it's got to be slick enough to watch or listen. While the slickest, greatest message could be the worst, most evil. So it's really not about the production quality at all. That's why I love YouTube and other things, other venues, than television or any of that mainstream shit. Movies, of course, is because you get these perspectives from people, real people, who have real life experiences and are doing things that no one gives them any attention in the mainstream. And that really sort of speaks volumes to me, always did. And then when you find somebody that does get it, you find out later on, unfortunately, that they've been caught up in the system themselves and are part of it. I mean, you can't be on a couple of hundred radio stations nationwide talking all of this stuff and not have some control. It's just unbelievable. It wouldn't happen. As far as they let things go, they rein them back. And that is unfortunately a fact. In fact, I don't want to digress, but I was listening to who was it? Very much another one, Michael Savage. Another one that's just totally absolutely anti-Muslim, it's just terrible. And his talks about, I mean, I don't know. He'll tell you everything about the New World Order, and then he'll go against it. I had a note here. Yeah, here's my note. Michael Savage, COINTELPRO. That's basically what it is. And he's been banned in the UK because of his things he says, because he's so controversial. He reveals the false left-right paradigm. Then he pushes for the Republicans. If he doesn't know where the Republicans are, let's get moving with the Republicans. I was listening to him today. First of all, he exposes this, and then he says, why isn't everybody with the Republicans? It's really weird. And he never names the New World Order by name. He never names the people that are involved with the organizations. Just he says these influences or whatever else, and that's bullshit. That's not reporting. So, it's just not. It's not the truth. It's a spin. And that's why this is Truth Talk News on truthbroadcastnetwork.com. I don't give a spin as much as it's the truth. I mean, I have a perspective. I have obviously my own beliefs or my own perspective, if you want to call it that, right? But what I state is the truth. I'm not going to hold something back. And unfortunately, if I find something to be false, and sometimes it's hurt real bad, I'll go right on air and say I was wrong and I was deceived, like the situation with Anthony Hilder, Alex Jones, a whole bunch of people. Michael Savage, Brad Davis. I'm trying to see where he stands here in this whole thing. Who's a broadcaster in Connecticut. And I think that's why my Facebook friend, Dan Lavallo, who's a broadcaster that was basically fired by Buckley Broadcasting. I think that's probably why he lost his job. He was telling too much truth. He was too anti-Obama, too hardcore. What the fuck is hardcore? God damn it! The goddamn FCC doesn't allow you to say fuck on the radio. So you can say it on the internet, and they want you to not. They want to try to figure out a way to make you not be able to say that too. Goddamn city in Massachusetts, they actually made it a crime. A town in Massachusetts, if you curse, there's a fine. You can't make this stuff up. This just happened last week or a week before. And meanwhile, we're going around with these wars all over the goddamn world, now going into Syria again. So let's stay on the wars for the next 10 minutes until Harry Link joins us with Death to the New World Order. I have a couple of search things that I did, some search terms. I wrote the terms down, so it means I just got to pull up the video. And they pulled up some videos that I screened, and like this one. And let's see, the other one was veteran children have high neurological problems. There we go, yeah. That's the next thing, ladies and gentlemen. All right, we send our children, our sons, our daughters to war. They sit on depleted uranium shells in the Gulf War. The rate of autism, the rate of MS, the rate of cancer in their children is 6 times the national average. All the military that have served, their progenies, the children that they give birth to, they themselves also 5.5 times above national averages for cancer and for multiple sclerosis, other neurological disorders, including cancers. What is the connection? Well, I think the connection is vaccines. I think it's vaccines. The vaccines that they give you in the military are, first of all, you don't even know what they're giving you. I have friends in the military that told me he doesn't even know. They came over him, they went like 6 in one arm, 6 in the other, all at once, a gun. Boosh, boosh, that's how they do it. Move next, and you don't even know what you're getting. You just sign your waiver away, and that's it. You don't even know what they put in you. So they're their biggest guinea pigs, and it's on record. Project Shad, other things have come out. The government constantly has done medical and biological experiments and chemical experiments on the military. Our daughters and sons that these glorious patriots, whatever they want to call. See, that's the thing. The evil doers wrap themselves in the flag, and they wrap themselves in nation and do for your country and all of that, while they steal, rob, and murder and take control and enslave the family and take from the family that you left to defend. And now I have a lot of friends in the military and a lot of friends in law enforcement, and I'll tell you, of course, this is not a slur on the people, but it's a slur on the system, which kills, like this gentleman said before. And we can't ever forget that. That's all it is. There is no reason for war. If you come to our land, then I, too, will raise my guns and go to war. If you come on my land, if you come on some country decides to invade America, then we're at war. Otherwise, we shouldn't be anywhere. But they have brainwashed everybody to believe that we have to make everything right for the whole goddamn world, and look where it's left us. Look where we are. Look at the debts we have. Look how many lives have been lost. And then 9/11, the false flags to bring us into more wars. And then they build up the economy and then create a backdoor way out that they all get the money and everybody else is enslaved and all the property and everything else. They do it over and over again. This is the New World Order. And it's sickening. And I'm ranting and wasting time when I have really important stuff to show. But I guess part of it is a rant. What can I tell you? But I'm going to show you this veterans. It's horrible. Veterans' children have high neurological problems. Oh, my search term came up. Invisible wounds. All right. Now, this is a PDF, and it's called Invisible Wounds, Iraq and Afghanistan Veterans of America. Basically, it's all about the neurological issues, Gulf War syndrome, and other things. Let's see. Let's go into the PDF. I'll make it small. This is about the invisible wounds of war. As early as 1919, doctors began to track the psychological condition among combat veterans of World War I known as shell shock. So this isn't anything really very new. But what they're talking about currently, and I'll continue with this, I guess, of course, in detail tomorrow because there's a lot of information, is that they have invisible injuries. Troops returning from combat may experience a wide range of psychological responses, psychological injuries, traumatic brain injuries, and fighting this stigma of mental health is a big issue. Now, there are a couple of articles. I'm trying to find a video of this. Let me see if I can find one. Here's one example of a problem. Metals have been linked to neurological disorders, cancer, respiratory from Africa. This is from the depleted uranium. Yeah, let's take a look at this for a minute. This is real interesting. Yeah, we have it's an article. Oh, I thought it was a video. I asked for videos, and it just shows me an article. Oh, there it is. Play video. Okay. There we go.
You have adjusted well to life here, Gulliver.
I like it here.
And your chariot?
I love my chariot. It's powerful, spacious.
But not too big.
Just big enough.
And luxurious.
God. Very.
Got to deal with this bullshit. All they want to do is sell you things. That's all it's about. Sell you things, enslave you, buy things constantly. Why do you have to buy a car every 3-4 years?
Maybe I should come back.
Probably a good idea, yeah.
The entirely new Acura RDX.
Oh,
intelligently built
yeah,
for the size of your life.
Yeah, really, really bad. Anyway, let's see what this is all about.
For Sylvia Waters-Mujan, breathing has never been so difficult.
I cough all the time. I get short of breath walking up a flight of stairs.
Sylvia, an anesthesiologist for the U.S. Army for the last 15 years, was deployed to Mosul, Iraq in 2007, where she took care of other soldiers and civilians in need. But when she came back home just 7 months later, Sylvia said something didn't feel right.
I had planned on training for like a half marathon, and then I suddenly was like, oh my God, what's wrong?
After failing her military fitness test and taking numerous chest x-rays and pulmonary function tests that all came back normal, Sylvia decided to have a lung biopsy done. The result?
Constrictive bronchiolitis.
A rare and potentially life-threatening disease that narrows the tiniest airways deep in the lungs, causing the person to suffer severe shortness of breath. This usually only occurs in people with rheumatoid arthritis or those who have had recent lung transplants. At age 44...
Who even knows? Who even knows? It's just unbelievable. I mean, this is just what we're talking about. I mean, I could just go rambling on and on about it, and I could show example after example of it. And it's still going to pretty much come down to the fact that they give them all these vaccines. They put this dust is in there, and they're breathing in this dust, which has got depleted uranium shells. They have a healthcare system that is just outrageous. The VA, and anyone that you know that's a veteran, and again, a lot of good friends of mine are veterans. In fact, I got this little coffee clutch here in Torrington at AC's Eatery on the South End. It's nice to see them all the time, and they come in, and there are some old-timers and Korean War veterans, and it's always really nice to talk. And I'm going to keep trying to get these guys to go on the record because they have such insight. They've seen things change so much. You know, it's amazing. We have been brainwashed to believe that society is the way they show it to us on television. And as Nixon said, the people won't believe anything unless they see it on television. And that's a very dangerous thing. And that's pretty much my final thought for tonight. I think I'm going to delve very deeply into the situation with this whole war that's brewing again, and the effects of the war. Maybe if we can amplify what they try to subdue, you know, they try to glorify war. They try to, in the movies, on television, and the recruiters, as was said so eloquently earlier. I think I'm going to focus a little bit on this veteran situation, and not the veterans, excuse me, this war and the cost of war, and the effects of the media, and how they really just never show the evil. And oh, it's so terrible. They wouldn't show Bin Laden because it's too awful. But you can go and watch Hostel and Hostel 2, where they torture and murder people. But that's not real. Well, what's the difference? If you see it on a screen, what you see is what you believe. You believe it to be real. Yet they lie and use the tool against us. It's just unbelievable. Anyway, a little over here tonight. Sorry, Harry, but I'm still trying to get used to this software, but it's coming along. I want to thank Harry Link at truthbroadcastnetwork.com, and he's going to be coming up right now with Death to the New World Order right here on truthbroadcastnetwork.com. See you tomorrow night, 9 to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll go a little bit more into the neurological problems. The children are actually, I'm just going to quick break here. The children are getting 6 times the reactions to this whole poisoning of the world. Now we're all been poisoned, but they are now 6 times for cancer, 6 times for autism, 6 times for multiple sclerosis in the children of the Gulf War veterans. It's on record. And we'll talk about it again tomorrow. God bless you all, and have a good night. Death to the New World Order.